Just to name a few, we have Dak Prescott coming back from an ankle. Obviously, he's still dealing with that shoulder. Saquon Barkley from his ACL tear, and Joe Burrow and Von Miller, who missed all of last season. Stephen A., I want to start with you. Which player returning from injury do you think is going to have the biggest redemption season bounce back year?
I think it's got a chance to be Christian McCaffrey, and I am biased with this brother. I have been a fan of his for a long time. I think he's a special all-around talent. I think he's multifaceted. He's a dual threat because he can catch passes out of the backfield just as well as he can run it. Keep in mind, he only played 3 games last year because of his injuries. Prior to that, he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, averaging at least 4.8 yards a carry. And in the same seasons, what did he have receiving yards? I think it was like 867 yards 3 years ago, 1,005 yards last year receiving. So, he had, you're talking about a guy that had nearly back-to-back 1,000-yard season rushing and receiving. And I've often said this, and I'll say it again. And mostly in college, not necessarily the pros. If this dude were black, we'd be talking about him more. Christian McCaffrey is a sensational football player. He really, really is. And he has not received the love and the respect that he richly deserves. Everybody respects him, and they know he could play. But it's like a passing note or whatever. This brother's lethal. And now that you got Sam Darnold there, and I think that Sam Darnold's going to do well, and we can't ignore the fact that Matt Rule actually did a decent job coaching the Carolina Panthers last year in his first year at the helm on the pro level. They looked better most weeks anyway. With Christian McCaffrey back in the lineup, with Sam Darnold as their quarterback, I think that Carolina has the potential to surprise some people. Maybe not even getting to the playoffs, but I think some upsets. You'll find them winning some games we thought they would lose as the season progresses. And if that happens, Christian McCaffrey's going to have everything to do with that.
Christian McCaffrey's special, I agree. Since college, been an unbelievable player. But you know what, Stephen A.? Saquon Barkley's just a bigger, stronger faster version of McCaffrey. I mean, Saquon Barkley, people forget because Saquon was running as a 20. First of all, he was the greatest running back prospect of all time. Meaning, take what he did in college, take his size, strength, work ethic, leadership, speed, and everything as a package. Whoever was like that. Barry Sanders, but 235 pounds. I mean, Saquon is different. Like McCaffrey, if you just kind of inflated McCaffrey a little bit. And as a 21-year-old rookie, behind one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, with the remains of Eli Manning at quarterback, Saquon acquired over 2,000 yards from scrimmage as a 21-year-old rookie behind a bad offensive line. Now, you know who was on that team? Odell Beckham Jr. And when you have a dynamic passing attack, or at least receiver, that can open up things for a running back a little bit. Then suddenly you didn't have Odell. And Saquon got hurt, but he didn't really talk about it, wouldn't use it as an excuse. And the O-line was as bad as ever, right? And his numbers came back a little bit. And then he got hurt. So people aren't thinking about Saquon the same way. But I'm here to tell you, you think he's learned nothing since he was a rookie? If he checks out physically, the line is still no good, but it's better than it was. The Giants, again, have receiving threats now. They brought him in, and they've developed some. Daniel Jones is not the remains of a once excellent player who can't move. He's got wheels on him, and he can throw the ball. It is set up for Saquon. When you talk bounce back, I go with Saquon Barkley. He is set up, as long as he's healthy, to have a monster year.
Well, first of all, I don't recall debating that Saquon Barkley is a bigger, better version than most running backs in the National Football League, because I think he is. He's that sensational. The question is the biggest bounce-back season, and I think you have to take into account the team that you're playing for. I still got questions about the New York Giants and their offense, even though they've picked up Galladay and what have you. I still got questions about them. Just like you had questions about that, you got questions about their offensive line, and you're wondering about Daniel Jones. I don't happen to wonder as much about Sam Darnold. I don't happen to wonder as much about DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, especially with Christian McCaffrey back there and what you can do in terms of utilizing your offense to get him the football. And so because of that and what I saw from Carolina last year, I think, and especially the way they go at it in the NFC South, Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa. They air it out. They try to put up points and what have you. I think it's one of those situations where even though Saquon is Saquon and nobody is trying to throw any shade on that brother, the flip side to it is that Christian McCaffrey is something special as well. And I think he's in a better system and in a better situation at this particular moment in time to capitalize this season with a bigger bounce back than Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much. Those two, when healthy, are in their own category to me. They're the most different from everybody else when they're healthy.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.